Good afternoon, everybody. Pigskin Pete here. Happy Monday to everybody. Another week has passed in the realm of college football. We enter week 4 starting this Thursday. What have we learned from week 3? Well, we learned that Clemson, Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, Oklahoma, all holding solid positions, not losing and taking care of business in their games. What did we learn other than that? We learned that Wisconsin is clearly not the team that we thought they were. They have no business losing to somebody called BYU. Now, you can say BYU is a pretty good team, and I'd say not compared to Wisconsin, they're not. So right now, this is the turning point of the season, where a quarter of the season is over already. We're 3 weeks in. There's only 12 games in the regular season, right? So we're 25% of the way there, and this is the time of the year when you start seeing teams separate themselves. The best teams in the country start to separate themselves from the overrated teams and the just plain bad teams, right? So what I'm going to do is a way too early, being that it's only Monday, betting line projection. Now, I'm at about 50% for the year for my betting line, so if you're a bettor, don't take my advice. It's still fun to speculate, though. I don't care what anybody says. So there's some pretty interesting betting lines this week. Let's start with Alabama and Texas A&M. So Alabama is a 26-point favorite in this game. Now, Alabama has been covering the spread every single week and scoring 1,000,000 points. And let's be honest here, Alabama looks like the best team in the country, and it's not even close. Second place, whether you want to say it's Clemson, Georgia, Ohio State, or whoever, looks miles behind Alabama right now. I never remember Alabama having this good of an offense, and their defense is always great. Alabama's a very scary team. Now, can they come back down to earth a little bit? Like I said, it's still only week 4. They can come back down to earth. A&M, in my mind, will be the best team that they've faced all year. Do I think A&M has a chance to go into Tuscaloosa and beat Alabama? Absolutely not. So don't even go there. Having said that, I don't think that Alabama's going to win by more than 26 points. Now, would I be shocked if they did based on what I've seen so far? No, I wouldn't. But if I had to put money on this game, at minus 26 for Alabama, I'm taking A&M. I mean, listen, they could still lose by 3 touchdowns at 21 points, and you can win the bet. So mark it down. I'm going with Texas A&M with the points. Second game, Texas and TCU. TCU is a 2.5-point favorite against Texas. Now, what did I learn about TCU this past weekend against Ohio State? TCU is everything I thought they were going to be, and maybe even a little bit more. TCU is pretty good. I picked TCU preseason to win the Big 12 and upset Oklahoma. Now, is that going to happen? Who knows? I see TCU putting a hurting on Texas. I'd take TCU plus at minus 2.5 all day long and twice on Saturday. So mark it down. TCU will cover against Texas. Game number 3, Wisconsin and Iowa. I wouldn't touch this game with a 10-foot pole. Wisconsin's favored by 3 points. Iowa is a tough place to play. That's where they're playing at. I have no faith in Wisconsin that they will even win the game at this point, let alone cover any sort of spread. So I don't know who to pick in this game. Don't bet it. Game number 4, Georgia and Missouri. Very interesting matchup here, right? So we see Georgia has been blowing everybody off the map, including at the time a ranked South Carolina team on the road. I got news for you. Is Georgia going to win this game? Of course they're going to. But Missouri can put up a lot of points. We all know they have the best quarterback in the SEC. Well, at this point it's debatable, right? Tua might be the best quarterback in the SEC. Well, I'm going to tell you that Drew Lock is at the very least the best quarterback in the SEC East. And that he can put up a lot of points, like I said, even against a good defense like Georgia has. Georgia's favored by 14.5. Now, if Georgia was favored by 14 and not 14.5, I probably would bet on Georgia. That 1/2 a point hook, I'm not taking it. I'm betting Missouri. This is a similar situation to what I said about Alabama. Can Georgia win this game in a blowout? Yeah, they can. They've certainly got the talent and the coaching to do that. But if the game gets up, if they get up 21 points and it's the fourth quarter, Don't be surprised if Georgia puts in their scrub, third string players, and Drew Lock and company get a couple of trash touchdowns to keep it less than 3 scores. So I'm going to put the money on Missouri as the underdog with the points, the 14.5. Now, these lines may move, and I'm sure they will move between now and, game day. But if you place the bet now, that locks it in at that time. So at 14.5, not 14, if it goes to 14. But at 14.5, I'm a better on Missouri to keep it closer than people think. Game number 5, Clemson at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech looks terrible, don't they? Now, I'll be the first to admit, Clemson doesn't seem to have found their identity on offense yet. They're playing everybody and their mother. They're playing every true freshman that's come in there from last year. They're playing 2 quarterbacks, even 3. They're playing 4, 5 running backs a game. I don't know what they're doing. It seems to me it's like these first 3 weeks have been just a big audition for who they're going to start later in the year, assuming that they're going to make it into the playoff, which everybody thinks they are going to, because the ACC Atlantic doesn't look very good, even though Boston College looks really good. Wake Forest is no slouch. So there is some teams in there that can potentially upset Clemson in a massive upset at some point during this year, right? Clemson even plays Duke this year from the Coastal, and Duke is undefeated this year and looks really good. Now, having said that, Clemson should smoke everybody on their schedule, right? It shouldn't even be close, no matter what you say. I still believe that Georgia Tech is so terrible, and Paul Johnson is I haven't heard a single Georgia Tech fan chirping in my ear since week 1, when they were chirping all offseason when I was saying that Paul Johnson was the worst coach in the ACC and has no business running that triple option bullcrap in a Power 5 conference. Well, now they're all quiet. Now some of them I'm reading online are even saying it's time for Paul Johnson to go. Meanwhile, they just gave this joker an extension and a raise. Anyway, you get my point. Clemson's going to win by more than 16. Put your money on Clemson. I wouldn't be surprised if this game is 40-7. Georgia Tech is terrible. Game number 6, Notre Dame and Wake Forest. This is what I'm picking as my lock of the week. Notre Dame is traveling to Wake Forest, and Notre Dame is favored by 7 points. Listen, Notre Dame has what week 1 was considered to be a really good win against a anemic Michigan team, right? Well, since then, we've seen Notre Dame have 2 consecutive struggle wins, one against Ball State, and then, of course, Vanderbilt, who is arguably, if not the worst, probably the second worst team in the SEC behind Arkansas and Tennessee. At this point, I think even Tennessee is better than Vanderbilt. You can argue that till the cows come home. Still too early to say that. My point is, Vanderbilt's not a very good team, okay? Just stop it with that. Just because they went to Notre Dame and gave them a game, so did Ball State. And Michigan's no pumpkin either. Take Wake Forest with the points. I think Wake Forest has a very good chance at winning this game outright. Wake Forest, for anybody who doesn't follow the ACC like I do, all right, you might think the ACC is weak and terrible, but trust me, I follow it and I know what I'm talking about. Wake Forest has been a team that's on the rise the past few years. That coach is not going to be there for long. He inherited like a 2 or 3 win team perennially to 7 wins. Last year, 8 wins. Could have easily been 10 wins. They lost 2 games at the wire, beat Texas A&M in a bowl game. This year, off to a great start. So, I'm taking Wake Forest with the points. Now, Notre Dame may win the game. They probably should based on talent alone. But going on the road to Wake Forest, I see this to be maybe a field goal game. Put your money on Wake Forest with the 7 points. And last but not least, Boston College and Purdue. Now, on any given year in college football, if you looked at the schedule and you saw Boston College playing Purdue, you'd say, lower tier ACC team, lower tier Big Ten team. This is probably a pretty evenly matched game. I'll take whoever's at home. Not so fast, folks. Boston College could be, I can't even believe I'm saying this, but it's true, the second or at least the 3rd best team in the entire ACC. Boston College is for real. Is Boston College going to make the college football playoff and win a national title? No. I got news for you. Boston College has a really good defense. Boston College has a running back who's a true sophomore who is averaging 200 yards a game in his first season in 3 games. He's at the top of everybody's Heisman list, up there with the notable quarterbacks and the notable running backs. He's certainly well in the conversation for the Heisman this year. The guy is a beast. He's going to be one hell of an NFL quarterback whenever he does come out, but he's just a sophomore right now, and the guy is a beast. Trust me. Boston College will win this game. Boston College is favored by 7.5. I think Boston College is going to blow out Purdue. When I say blow out, I mean by 14 or more points. I wouldn't be surprised if this score was somewhere around 37-17, 40-20, something in that range. Boston College, put your money on them. They're going to beat the crap out of Purdue. So that's it, folks. If you win the money, look at the link in the description. I'll put my P.O. box number in there. Send me the money, at least half of what you win, just to be nice. If you lose money, especially if you lose a lot of money, don't contact me. You can even unsubscribe if you want to and come on my comment section and tell me how much of a moron I am. You'd fit right in, trust me. Have a great day. Pigskin Pete, check it out.